we just had an episode yesterday where we talked about all kinds of Hour of Devastation previews. But we're back today with an exclusive top-level podcast preview from Hour of Devastation with, fittingly, a Nicol Bolas quote, "This place has outlived its usefulness."
Man, that is harsh.
Yeah, Nicol Bolas doesn't mess around.
Do you know about the story? Do you know about that this time?
Nicol Bolas, spoiler, Nicol Bolas wins.
Oh, wow.
Everybody, everything is... Man, I feel bad, in a way, for the gods, actually. The Amonkhet gods were just pawns. They were just being used. Nicol Bolas was... Yeah, but you know how it is. I mean
the Gatewatch didn't seem to be doing too well either.
No, but I mean the gods themselves, they were serving Nicol Bolas, but they thought that by tormenting everybody, and they thought there were some of them that that all the suffering was somehow saving the plane, but they were actually just pawns and making Nicol Bolas stronger, and now they've destroyed their plane.
That is rough.
I mean, the place outlived its usefulness. So Doomfall is our preview card. 2 and a black sorcery. Target opponent exiles a creature he or she controls. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land permanent from it. Exile that card. So
this card is uber flexible, right? I think that's kind of the theme of this card. It's a choose one. Target opponent exiles a creature he or she controls. At sorcery, this is a little bit worse than what's the name of the one that was from Esper Dragons?
Tribute to Hunger?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, no, the other way around. The Foul Tongue Invocation.
Foul Tongue Invocation. So you don't gain the life. It's not an instant, but it's, same casting cost, and it does about the same thing.
Exile, though.
Yeah.
His Scrapheap Scrounger. That's very real.
Yeah, I agree. It does. But then on the other hand, it's also coercion, right? But it's coercion that also exiles. So I think that this is going to be... It's going to be a medium amount of main deck play. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, the ability to have both coercion and an edict effect that exiles, I mean, that's everybody, right? When Doomfall gives you a way to interact with combo decks with a creature kill spell. Doomfall gives you additional duresses that also can hit big creatures. And the fact that it's an exile, I think, really does matter because you need to have a lot of answers to stuff like Scrapheap Scrounger. And it keeps people off Delirium to some degree.
I mean, it's also, you're talking about combo decks. Somebody can get whether they're, not spinning Marvels anymore, but they can get, an indestructible Eldrazi or a difficult to target huge creature. Even if it's just a Hydra, right? You can deal with it and deal with it permanently.
Well, it kills the gods too, right? The fact that you can use this to hit their Kefnet. That's that's a useful option to have access to, and it can hit hexproof creatures like Sphinx of the Final Word. Being able to hit Sphinx of the Final Word is a very different dynamic, and that you know what your opponent is playing by the time you cast Doomfall, you can just decide whether you want to hold Doomfall or not. And being able to go after your opponent's pull or their Gear Hulk can really change what it is they're trying to set up to. And that it exiles, it means they can't just Gear Hulk it back later if it's say, a Glimmer of Genius that you take.
Sure. Just on the note of hitting gods, right? Like this card seems like potentially pretty effective against the Scorpion God, right? So, it's mana advantageous. The opponent's theoretically paying 5 for the Scorpion God. The Scorpion God is attractive in part because it's so resilient. It keeps coming back to your hand if it dies, but exiling it's cool, especially if it's you're in a situation where it's the only creature that they have in play. But it being in black, I think a lot of the time you're going to be able to use other removal spells, like maybe like a Fatal Push to kind of curate the board so that your Doomfall hits the thing that you want it to hit.
Yeah. The fact that it is exile can also matter for some of the cards that are traditionally good against edict type effects. Death triggers that are constructive. Like if your 1/1 dies into a 2/2, that's typically a pretty good way to do it. If you're playing against, I guess you don't see as much of like the current ones aren't as strong. However, Dread Wanderer is actually a great example. Dread Wanderer would normally be a very effective tool against an edict effect, but Doomfall really changes that.
Oh yeah, like theoretically that card is great, right? Because it's kind of confusing what you would hit with a traditional edict effect, and in fact, like, just having any cheap or small thing is often good to protect against an edict. But that's in particular a bad one because you can buy it back, right? But Doomfall actually puts the kibosh on that. What do you think about the extra mana on Doomfall, right? So if you were going to play a card that only had one of these two abilities, right? Like target opponent exiles a creature he or she controls. Like 3 mana is too expensive to play that ability in Constructed if it's the only ability on the card. Same as the second ability, right? Like that's very, very, very 2 mana. 2 mana is going to be a little bit more.
No, it's not very 2 mana. It's normally you would get more for 3, but you would definitely get less for 2. People play Transgress all the time, and this is like a Transgress that can hit any number, not just 3 or more. Right? So this is clearly more than Transgress, and Transgress was a staple. So I think both of these abilities are 2.5, 2 1/3. They're more than 2. Like for instance, obviously nobody plays, not nobody, but Trial of Ambition isn't like overwhelmingly popular. But it's just an edict, not an exile for a creature they control. But the ability to get both for 3, there's some amount of value there. There are a bunch of other edict effects now, so you have to, I think, value the flexibility from the discard spell part of it, or the exile ability for going after the creature. But it's also interesting that this works so well with Goblin Dark Dweller. It's exactly priced right for such a thing. And Goblin Dark Dweller has often really appreciated having, a couple discard spells to be able to rip apart a control player's hand, but not wanting to get stuck without removal. Sometimes those decks will end up with so many removal spells. Doomfall is a really nice removal spell for making sure you don't have too many removal spells. So that you can actually use it to accomplish some other goal.
The second ability can hit anybody, right? Like you could hit white money, right? You probably don't do that very often, but it could.
Yeah. So I think Doomfall is kind of an exciting card. There's a lot of great 3s these days, but it's a solid option both for main deck or for sideboard, and it really ends up just being which things do you want the extra flexibility and strength against, right?
It's potentially a good setup card too, right? Like if there's a good 4 you want to land. I remember in the kind of the Sultai Marvel days, there was a little sadness is the wrong word, but like, I wish I could transgress a negate, right? You can't transgress a negate. You go to set up your big turn, you're like, they have a negate in their hand. This could actually take the negate or interact with the negate by being countered, and then it would open up your big 4. So Yeah, if there's a big 4 in the upcoming Hour of Devastation standard, I think Doomfall could help you set it up.
Yep, and I'm loving the extra modal cards. You know, like it's nice seeing more of that for increasing some of the play in standard. What do you think about how this card interacts with the existing decks? I mean, would you want this against zombies?
Yeah, I think so. Right. So just to take out their big enchantment, you know, this is 2 turns faster than that, because that's a thing. Potentially taking graveyard dependent creatures away before they hit, taking them out once they've hit. Like, I think there's like interesting stuff you can do. You know, this isn't zombies per se, but I think that the Scorpion God is very parallel in that it's a 5 that's kind of an engine, kind of like Liliana's Mastery, but it's also creature. Like, if you have 2 Doomfalls, you could like Doomfall the opponent, see the Scorpion God, decide to take it or not, and you say, look, if I let him cast Scorpion God, he's going to spend all of his mana, and I can just Doomfall it later and then do something else with my other 2 mana. Just, you know, if you have 2, that's a thing.
I would be careful about playing too many, though, because I think that they start having diminishing returns pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, discard spells in general can have diminishing returns. I just think if you're going to play this card main deck, you're probably going to play around 2. I don't think you're going to play 1.
Why? The first one's better than the second one.
Yeah.
You might play 1. You might play 2. I'm just saying that, like, 1 seems like it's weird to think you would play 2 but not 1.
Yeah, it just smells like a 2 to me. Like, I don't see anybody playing 4.
That smells like superstition to me.
I've seen, you know, certain kind of cards kind of, and, you know, show up in certain amounts historically. I think that smells like a 2 to me. Like, you agree with me that nobody's playing 4 of this on week 1? Right? Maybe someday we're going to...
I don't know about nobody.
I
don't know, man.
I'm ready. It's not a 4.
Nico Bolas, my body is ready. It's time for the Doomfall. Actually, though, what do you think of this card in some kind of a Nico Bolas deck?
I don't know. It does, I think, a lot of the stuff that you might like. Nico Bolas is a great example of an expensive card that you would want to force through a counterspell potentially. You know, this could take a counterspell away. I don't know. I don't know. Is that the best way to set it up? And it's in the right colors, right? It's black, and Nico Bolas is a 3rd black.
I just think you want to have a variety. You want to have a diverse mix of ways to interact. Give yourself some options, you know? Like, if you just end up with so many copies of the same options, you might have, you're more likely to have some weak spots. Now, obviously, lately the cards have really slanted towards proactive strategies, and there's a decent chance that's going to continue. But with Marvel gone, which was one of the biggest control killers and mid-range killers, and the printing of charms, which help modal cards so much, and sick cards like the Scorpion God, I would not be surprised if we see a standard with a slightly different texture.
Hopefully, very different texture, which I think was the intent.
Yep. What do you think is the best home initially for this thing? Is it blue black?
I think blue black. I think blue black red. You know, like you said, this is I'm always on the lookout for a Goblin Dark Dweller interaction. This is the right type and the right cost for that. I something tells me that maybe black green will even play it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's tough. Like, for instance, in blue black, it's weird. It's like Never to Return can also hit Planeswalkers. Plus, you get the zombie on the backside. And if you already have permission, maybe you don't need to discard as much. Black-red really needs the discard. Black-green already was playing the discard. So maybe this is like, match made in heaven. I'm excited to see where this one goes. I actually don't think it's going to be all that in a blue-black deck. I think it's more of a black-red card, but black-green as well, just because a black-green stronger color combination. Maybe black-white, but less
like,
into the
you
white
wouldn't
part.
see this in a Mardu deck, right? Like, a Mardu's not going to play at main deck, and if they're going to play a card like this in the sideboard, they're going to opt for a cheaper card rather than a flexible card.
Yeah, I think this is more. It's not powerful enough, I don't think, to be a 3-color staple. It's not chances, just if it lines up exactly right. Like if it has the perfect Venn diagram overlap of effects you're looking for, then rock on. But it's not the thing that you intentionally want in a 3-color deck, just because in a 3-color deck you end up having to prioritize cheaper spells because of the increased number of lands you have that come into play tapped. Awesome stuff, man. I'm glad Hour of Devastation is upon us. I, for one, welcome our returning God Pharaoh.
Yeah. He's had an interesting career, Elder Dragon Legend, Planeswalker again. How did they get rid of him last time? Did Ugin beat him up?
There was a little trickery, but it was all just part of the plan. It was all part of the plan. Nico Bolas plays the long game.
Yeah, like 10,000 years, right? Like a really long game.
Longer, 25K.
All right. Well, yeah.
Sorin is over 10,000 years old.
Really?
Sorin is like really old.
He looks good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He gets down. He parties. All right, man.
All right.
We'll be back next week with our regularly scheduled program, Top Level Podcast. Check us out.
In life didn't work so great. Tried to play dredge, it's a jailer hate. Ghostly prison waiting for my untapped phase. Your core trapped in amber stasis state. Lost a lot of friends, got left behind. Had to find a way not to lose my mind. Trapped in a vault with nothing but time. Parents and my friends